Now, as I was saying, Mr. Holmes, I really do believe we ought to be doing collab videos on Facebook.
Hello, gentlemen. Would you spare a penny for starting YouTuber?
Get away from here, peasant! I don't speak to anyone with less than 100,000 subscribers! These young tubers these days, right, Mr. Holmes?
Watson, quiet please. I'm trying to concentrate.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us. Mikhail, hello to you.
Hello, everybody from Virus Situation.
Yes, we are still coming to you with our voices, not our faces. Hopefully sometime soon, but for now, we will keep talking about the free games given away by Epic. And this week is a little bit unusual because we have only one game. It's
Pixelated platformer.
It is actually not pixelated at all, and it is definitely not a platformer. You can't even jump in this game. So quite unusual. And
Yes.
in fact, it was kind of a new, not a new, but an unusual genre for me to be playing. The game this week is called Sherlock Holmes, Crimes and Punishments.
And I'm quite familiar with this game, I have to say, because there's 8 games of the Sherlock Holmes right now. And the first one I played actually is from 2002, and that's a
Wow.
really old one. And all the games were adventures, so the creators have really a lot of experience. So this should be a good game.
This is
And
the seventh in the series, yep.
Yes, this is the 7th, and this is a really old school adventure game. The Crime and Punishment, you can actually play in third person, but also in the first person. And I have to recommend to play in the first person or change it regularly, because this game is all about details. It looks a little bit like open world at the beginning, but you have specific locations and you have limitation in the location, because you might see it because there's a beautiful surrounding.
Yeah.
You want to go to the surrounding, but you
Yeah.
cannot.
This is one thing that I found a little bit frustrating is I really appreciated the graphics.
Yeah.
The atmosphere is great. It made me want to explore, and it is an exploration game because you have to look for clues, but you are extremely limited. And in fact, it's very linear. So I found a conflict between the desire to explore and the restrictions of the game. But I suppose that's true in most adventure games.
I am afraid this is an exploration game, but not about the surrounding, but about the clues, because you are a greatest detective of them all. So the game is concentrated on actually gathering clues and thoughts, and you can actually mix these thoughts to make conclusions. And this is maybe the biggest thing about this game, the actually getting the conclusions together.
This I found to be very interesting, and maybe you can tell me if this is an unusual thing for adventure mystery games, because usually my frustration with adventure games is that they're very linear and you are forced to quote unquote discover what the developers want you to discover. But in this case, there's a lot of clues that you can interpret in different ways, and you choose what the clue means, and that will lead you down a path towards a particular suspect that maybe is not the right one, but you might never know that you made a mistake.
Because at the end of each of the chapters, there's 6 cases, and at the end of each, you will get only the outcome of other people which they choose. Like if they choose the murder is this one or this one, but you will never get the clear answer. So there's a good replayability of each of the episodes.
Yeah, this I found to be very interesting and more realistic, because in fact, even a real life detective, there might always be some doubt, so we have to live with that. One more thing that I wanted to say is that the puzzles I found to be quite diverse, and you're not always doing the same thing. And mini games, yeah.
There's a puzzles and mini games, and quite a lot of them. And I think this is one of the one of the factors from the past, from the previous game, because as I said, they're experienced creators now, so they put a lot of different mini games and puzzles, because they've done a lot of games before that.
Well, with that, maybe we can move on to our own question, the mystery of our channel every week. And that mystery is, should you play it?
Should you play it?
Mikhail, why don't you start?
The graphic is great. The stories were interesting. Yes, the cases are mostly about murder, but I like the second one better actually if you're gonna play this game. And I recommend you to play it if you are an adventurer, if you like adventures, or if you like Sherlock Holmes. Because this is a kind of hardcore adventure in a way, or let's say old school adventure, which means it's quite hard and can be sometimes frustrated. So it's definitely not for everybody. But if you are adventure or Sherlock Holmes fan, this is a game for you, and I can only recommend it. It's a good one.
I agree with everything you said, except for your conclusion, Sherlock.
Okay. So
because I like the graphics, the stories, the characters, and some of the mechanics, the diversity of the clues and how you can use your own intuition. All of this is good, and I think it's an excellent example of the genre. However, I'm not a big fan of this type of game, and this game, despite all of its positive elements, reminded me of why I'm not a fan, and that's because the goal of a mystery game is to give you the idea that you are solving the mystery, but it is inevitably so restricted that you have to find the clue that the developer put there for you to find. But
some of the stories are like from the real book, so you cannot change it. So this is like playing the book.
It is, but these are different mediums, and reading a book, it's just discovering how clever Sherlock is. A game is supposed to give you the idea that you're the one doing it. And so when it's restricted and you know that you can't move forward until you find that one clue that the developers want you to find, this broke immersion for me and just made me feel like, it's a choose your own adventure book in video game format, and it didn't engage me. So there's a lot of positive things about it, but I would say in general, most gamers will probably find this not very entertaining. Unless you are, as you said, are a big fan of adventure games or a big fan of Sherlock Holmes, in which case, absolutely yes, but in general, no. I don't think that most gamers should play this game.
I agree with you. I only have to add that most people will not appreciate it because most people do not like adventures.
Right.
And I don't think correct me if I'm wrong, like anybody correct me, please. But I don't think there's a adventure game that is like open world. It needs to have the limitation what you said and what you don't like about adventures. So I think it's about the genre. If you don't like the genre or if you like.
I think that's fair. And you watching us now, let us know what you think in the comments. If you've played any of these games in the series, tell us what you think. And if you decide to try this one, tell us who you agree with Mikhail or with me, Caleb. Would you recommend this to your friends, even if they're maybe not a big fan of adventure games?
And if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell button because this is how you get the notifications.
And don't forget that if you like free games and even very cheap games and you want to know about more of them,
check out... Who doesn't like free games?
Exactly. So check out our friend Low Budget Gaming, link in the description. His channel has lots of other free games besides just the epic games. You should definitely subscribe to him and check out his videos.
And I hope we can see you in another video with the free games in future weeks.
Bye.
These tracers were made by carriage. Look. The vehicle pressed this stone into the ground. It would have been quite heavy. The distance between the tracks is about 6 feet 7 inches. The vehicle would have been... These tracers are relatively fresh and were made by a large truck loaded with materials. advertisement.